Hey, Facebook Live, Martin Lopez here from the Curiosity Theory, a path from conflict to resolution. And today is day 28 in the GSD challenge. Pretty excited about doing it. So we got 3 days left. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a great, whether Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate, just happy life. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the Curiosity Theory, and I'm wrapping up chapter 3. If you go back a couple of the videos a couple days ago, we started with a story called Own Your Words. What was that? As I say, Own Your Words? It's Use Your Words, rather. And Use Your Words was a story about how when I walked in, I was able to, I walked into my house and saw Yvette and Diego in a situation, and she taught him how to use his words. And we're going to wrap up that chapter right now. So here we go. The curiosity theory involves training our reptilian brain to recognize conflict as an opportunity rather than a threat. With practice, our reptilian brain comes to recognize curiosity as a path to safety when encountering conflict. It will ease up on the hijacking, allowing our higher brain to employ our senses and blood flow to a more powerful purpose, connecting us with our spouses, our children, or our coworkers. So conflict as an opportunity is an important thing to think about. And so I say, what is opportunity? Opportunity is a chance for us to make a choice. And we can make a choice for something positive or something negative, but we still have that choice. And we don't look at conflict for the most part as an opportunity, because conflict, the way most people look at it, it's a bad thing. You know, who wants conflict? We don't want conflict. But the curiosity theory and using the curiosity theory gives you the opportunity, gives you the chance, and gives you the choice to look at conflict as an opportunity rather than a threat. So when you have a choice, you have the opportunity to stop, to decide which direction you want to go after considering all the facts and looking at the stories. And when you're dealing with conflict, it's really hard to do that because that happens in a millisecond, right? Instantaneously. You know, if you're walking outside, and there's, let's say, a hose, like a garden hose on the ground. Sometimes if you don't really look at it, you may think it's a snake and you may react, oh, what was that? And it just turns out to be a garden hose. And that's what we talk about in the curiosity theory, is knowing that there's a snake and that's a threat, but sometimes we relate to the garden hose as though it's a threat. And it's not really a threat. So it's really, really important to know that we have the opportunity to make choices when we're dealing with conflict, when we're dealing with people that are communicating to us in a way that we may not like, and we feel that we're in conflict, or somebody does something to us and we call that a conflict. And a threat really is about something that includes pain and hostility and requires, for the most part, retribution. So when we're threatened, we're going to retaliate. And what we do when we retaliate is we retaliate by saying things back to the people that are threatening us. We kick the hose, we kill the snake, that kind of thing. And sometimes that's overkill. Sometimes it's easier just to maybe back off from the snake and then, get a rake or something and pick it up, move it to a safer place. But oftentimes they say, you're bringing a gun to a knife fight. Sometimes we're using more energy to resolve a conflict than we really need. And what we do is we end up just destroying the other person. So it's really, really important that we learn to recognize conflict. In my opinion, that we learn to recognize conflict as an opportunity versus a threat, because the things that can happen out of opportunity. So once we do this, once we start to look at it as an opportunity versus a threat, is we start to rewire our brain to have us respond versus react. So oftentimes we're going to react. We see that we hear a threat, so we react and we say something. We retaliate. Versus take a minute, think about everything, consider the facts, be curious about what's happening with yourself, what you're feeling, what your needs are, and then what's going on with the other person, and then respond. You respond by using curiosity and asking questions. And we find that that's a lot more powerful than retaliating often, because then later on you're going to have to deal with the aftermath of an argument or a fight. And then what's all really designed for is to get back to our human connection, back to the loving, back to the connection, back to the positive feelings that we want to feel with who we're dealing with, whether it's a family member and you just want to get back to that television show, or go to the movies, or go out to dinner, or just play basketball, whether it's a loved one, a spouse, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, and you just want to get back to that loving connection, that you feel connected, you feel that you can become intimate again, versus keeping those walls up, and then eventually those walls then constantly separate us. So we think that we're getting closer in our relationships, but there's really that wall because we never dealt with that wall. And then what we're really doing is we're building a relationship on top of just a pile of garbage, and eventually it's going to collapse because we don't have a powerful foundation. So use curiosity. Use curiosity when you're dealing with conflict, and see how you're feeling about it. Like, what's going on with you? What's going on with your emotions about a situation, and what is the need that you have in that situation, and see if you can meet that need for yourself versus trying to make somebody else meet that need. So often what we do in relationships is we expect another person to meet our needs. So let's say, for instance, we have something we want to say. And I'm the kind of person that, obviously I've done 28 videos, so I have something to say. So I want to get the word out. I want to get my message out, and I expect my spouse, or I expect my kids, or I expect my friends that they should listen. So I get mad at them if they're not listening to what I'm talking about, and versus me taking responsibility for making it worthy, making it clear, making it concise, making it entertaining, all those things. So taking personal responsibility for meeting my needs to communicate. That's my need to communicate. It's not necessarily the person it's not your need to communicate right now. Like, if you're watching this video, you have your own needs. So what are the needs that you have that are met by watching a video? Maybe it could be a need to learn something new. Maybe it could be a need to, hey, I really need to know what goes on in Martine's crazy head. Or it just could be a need for entertainment. So whatever that need is, you're meeting that need. My need on this side is a need to communicate, and you need to share. That's my personal need, and I feel really good when I do this. So when I get done with my videos, I feel very accomplished. I feel good because, I take the time to highlight what I'm going to talk about, make some notes about what I'm going to say. And in the past, that wasn't me. I would just get on the video, or just start blabbing. And I would say something, and if you kind of listened, you may have heard some powerful nuggets, something that's worth listening. But for the most part, it may not have been that clear and that concise. So when I'm doing videos now, I'm meeting my need to communicate what I want to communicate, which is the idea behind the curiosity theory. I meet my need to be accomplished, which is to actually take the time to say what I want to say, write it down first, be real clear on it. I use my charts to see what need am I meeting. There's lots of needs that I'm meeting by doing this. Self-expression, creativity, it's play. I love to play. This is very fun for me. Inspiration, awareness, contribution. What else? Intimacy, love, mutuality. There's so many different needs that I get to meet for myself by doing this. But what are the needs that you have when you're in a situation, when you're in conflict? Can you identify those needs? Very, very important, because often, like I said, we expect other people to meet those needs for us, and that's not fair because we just have different needs at any given time. We may have the same how would you say it? We may have the same direction or the same goal, but our needs might not be the same needs. So it's important to know what your needs are and what your feelings are around that, and that is the cornerstone to emotional intelligence, and conflict resolution is what I call that as well. So this is the final part. In essence, we can teach our reptilian brain to use our words. So by responding versus reacting, we teach our reptilian brain to use our words. And our reptilian brain, like I was talking to my son today about the reptilian brain, it has a simple function to basically to keep us alive. It's like I was watching something tonight, Brian Johnson, and he said it's to keep us keep us from not dying, keep us from not being killed. That's the idea. That's what the reptilian brain's there for. Back, hundreds of years, thousands of years, our lives weren't as complex. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have houses the way that we have them. We didn't have the heaters. We didn't have the fireplaces the same way. We didn't have food the same way. We were literally every day needing to survive, and the reptilian brain was very useful, that function. It kept us alive. So basically, that's the reptilian brain. And then we got our limbic brain, which started to express our emotions. And then we started to become stronger emotionally, started to understand that we had emotions. And then our neocortex has us think, has us be able to reason, has us be able to figure out things and have expanded thought. So employ your neocortex, and how you do that is you ask a question and be curious. So the curiosity happens in the limbic brain, the second brain, but then it then triggers our neocortex and our third brain to answer those questions and get us often out of conflict. Like I said in my first story, when I was in that situation with John when we were about to fight, I said, "John, why are we fighting?" And the way that I asked that question caused him to consider. He didn't know why we were fighting. He said, "I don't know," and put his hands down, and we walked away. And that's a powerful thing. So that was in 8th grade, using curiosity. So now I'm 52. I graduated from 8th grade and 12th grade and all those other grades. And still, I need to employ curiosity in my business, in my personal life, in my every part of it, in my personal life with myself and with others. So use your words. Try using curiosity, please, so that you can teach yourself, you can teach your reptilian brain to use the words rather than fight, flight, or freeze. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you guys spending time with me. Day 28 of the GSD Challenge and Martin Lopez. And you can get the Curiosity Theory on Amazon, on Kindle, and on paperback. And just really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.